What is up, people of YouTube? Daniel back here for another video for the channel. So if you don't know me, I essentially am someone that helps people with their 10.0 version, getting to that as fast as possible through habits with fitness, mindset, and also nutrition and relationships. So as you can see from the title, this will be a very different video. I'm essentially giving you tips or essentially the blueprint of how to get out of whatever state you're in, being it depression, bad thoughts, you going down, and you could be asking yourself, who is this guy to tell me or show me the path? And essentially, my story is, you can go to my previous video about it. I tell my whole story there. But in 2017, I went from clinically depressed, being labeled clinically depressed by both doctors, from doctors here in Canada and North America, to South America, being given medication, and just going through different clinics, stuff like that, to in 2020, 2021, being someone that was asked to coach men in terms of attracting women, having experiences that men only dream of with women, and having women essentially thank me for existing. And this is someone that I was with a long time ago. But essentially, you can see there's a big leap in terms of my reality of me not wanting to exist anymore, and asking myself, I want to start over, and having these suicidal thoughts, to be in a place where I was being asked to help other men with their issues and solve their problems with dating, and also having experiences with women that essentially did fill my heart and make me appreciate having stayed around and being alive. So essentially, the first step is essentially, when you are depressed, you have to realize it is a selfish moment you're having. Depression, anything low, stuff like that, you're watching right now that is going through it, it is a selfish moment. You can tell this because you're allowing the lower version of yourself to take over. When there's two parts to you, there's basically the weak, like bitch version of you, and there's the actual version of you that is meant to be, and a different, stronger version of you that you're allowing to be dominated by this weaker version of you. So we have to first understand is, it is selfish, and you are allowing this weak thoughts to consume you, and it is just you attacking you. No one is doing anything to you. It could be a situation that put you there, but you're allowing negative thoughts, and only yourself is doing this, this attack on you. Nothing is really happening. It's just your mind attacking you. And it could be some circumstance that is there, but it's not preventing you from getting out of that situation you're in. And you also have to realize that no one can help you, because it is a mental thing. It's nothing that someone can come in and tell you, hey, this, we're gonna do this and this. It's, you have to get a hold of your mind and the thoughts you're having and remove those. So that's number one. Number two is, look around and get out of your own head. So the second step is, you have to realize that people around you are hurting. Um, you can see, usually it's your immediate family, your parents, your siblings. They're watching you suffer, and you're not able. They're not able to help you, like I mentioned, and you letting them suffer, knowing that you can do something, which is just a mental shift, is the reason why I say it's selfish, because it is. And so you have to understand that it is up to you and you only. They can only watch you either overcome this, or let your thoughts be the reason that you decide to, worst case scenario, take your life. And there's no circumstance you can't overcome. There's people that have worse situations than you, and they've been able to overcome it. People with, you watching this are probably in the first world, so you have electricity, you have food and shelter, and you have the basic necessities to live. There's people that don't have a bite to eat at any day of their life. They wake up hungry, go to sleep hungry. They don't have proper shelter, proper utilities to keep them alive, and they still have a way to keep their mindset, positive and with faith. So, like I said, if you're watching this and you're going through that, number one is, it is your fault. It is a selfish act that's happening, and you have to, overcome this. So that's number one and two. Number one, realize it's on you. Number two, get out of your head and realize the experience you're giving to other people and not just your own thoughts and what's happening to you. Number three is you have to begin to use emotion. So right now you're in the lowest state possible or vibration. You're basically at apathy, and shame and guilt. Those are the lowest. You have to get to anger. Anger is a few up, but you can do this by essentially just being upset at the weak version of you that you're allowing to dominate the strong version of you and the true essence of who you are. So you have to use anger to get yourself out of this state. The way to increase your vibration essentially is to just go to the next one up and feel that emotion. So that's anger. So the only way that will get you out of it. There's no, basically debating with yourself. It is essentially using anger to get out of where you are, and that will be the third step and essentially the emotion that will get you rolling and will keep you in a state of constant movement towards where you have to be, which is obviously higher levels of consciousness where you're more stable and normal and can have a normal life. So that's number three. And then number four is from the place you're in until you get to a place where you'll know the place that you can get to, where you're able to possibly enjoy these things. I recommend you don't do them at all. If you are in this place in your life, is there's no vices whatsoever. So there's no drinking, there's no drugs, there's no smoking, there's none of that. Your brain is in a point, and your mind is at a point where it's the most vulnerable. You can say it's the most weak in this area at this point of your life. And if you allow these vices and things to get a hold of your brain, it will just you'll be destroyed. It will literally destroy you. There's no pleasure in it. You can try to think it's like numbing whatever feelings you're having, but it's going to worsen everything, and it is not a friend to you at all, at all, at all, at all. So if you realize that you don't get this privilege of being able to enjoy these things, it's a privilege for people that have the mental strength and fortitude to do that. Right now, you don't have that. And you don't even need that, especially when you do have mental strength. There's no positive to that at all. So you have to realize that is off the table. You don't have that privilege. Your life is different, and you're gonna have to do this, sober. So water and juice, that's all you're drinking, and you're not smoking anything. So just keep that in mind. So that's number four. No vices, no drinking, no drinking, no drugs, and no smoking. None of this stuff that can alter your mindset, because your mindset is what you need to work on, and is at its weakest right now. Nothing can affect it and influence it in any way whatsoever. Any way. So that's number four. Number five, you'll begin to suffer. So you may have thoughts of, suicidal, don't want to be here, me, this me, like I feel this way, I don't want to do this, it's just you're having me thoughts, selfish thoughts. Number five is you have to suffer to get out of where you are. And if you don't want to suffer, someone will suffer. So it's either your family watching you suffer, and if you do ultimately decide to, take the ultimate, selfish step which is taking your life, they will suffer eternally. Whereas you can spend, know how many ever years are necessary to suffer to get out of where you are. And it's not even just suffering to get out of where you are, it's suffering to kill that person that you are right now. You in your head maybe think, oh, I want to start over, I want to end things. You can end things. Do it as you're alive. You can literally kill that person that you are right now and become a whole different person in a few years if you just put in, this mindset of suffering. So suffering will entail things like cold water exposure, things that you don't want to do in the morning, take a cold shower. Basically, it spikes your nervous system, gives you a whole different benefits, and this is something you're doing every single day. You don't miss every single day. Two is the gym. So it's another form of, pain tolerance, being able to push yourself physically. You can do once a day, or so just two, just essentially pushing yourself to the limit. You have this energy, this anger as well, like I mentioned in I think the third step. So you're using anger to get yourself out of this, and this anger will push you through these workouts like you don't believe. And number three will be socializing. So you have to socialize. Like I said, you're in a me mindset of, oh, poor me, this. Number three is you're gonna have to start to speak to people. Obviously, you're not in the best state, but as you're socializing, there is a healing aspect that will help you. you'll get good emotions from people, and you'll be able to eventually in turn, return that emotion. For right now, you are trying to build that person and kill the current you to create that, that true essence of you, like I mentioned, that is being dominated by this weak, lower version of you. So lower version of you, you're trying to kill, and essentially it is right here, and you're trying to creep this true essence of you and stronger person of you past that. So you're doing this through your habits of suffering every day. The third one is socializing, and if you are a man watching this, which I assume this is majority, this is who I'm speaking with women. I'm not really too sure the journey that you have to go on. This is I'm speaking from my own experience and what I did. So number 3 is you're gonna have to speak to the opposite sex. You're gonna speak to women, and the reason is because women, for most men, is a journey of overcoming a lot of fears. Things like any kind of internal, you can say, fears of not being enough, not being able to be themselves with women. I think a lot of men fake their interactions with women and not actually be their true selves. So your whole journey with this is being the person that can be authentic and honest, and you're doing this through, like I said, you're not doing any vices, any drinking, smoking, or drugs. So you're doing this authentically you. Obviously, you're in a low place right now, but through these habits of suffering and building yourself with the cold showers and the gym, you'll be able to do this as well. I assume if you're in this really bad place, you don't have the stability to create work or get a job. But obviously, that will be you can say the fourth step, because essentially you have to stabilize yourself first. You don't want to have a job and get something, and then in a few days you're just not stable enough, and you're back into this like, oh, I can't do this, and you go back into this negative state, and essentially you start sabotaging yourself again. So I would say put socializing above. You need to have contact with people. In the business world, it's sometimes no contact, a lot of you with your own mental thoughts, depending on the environment. If you do get a job, make sure it's a social setting so you're able to speak to people face to face. You need social interaction. You can't overcome whatever you're going through by yourself. Maybe speaking to people on your phone or anything remotely. It has to be face-to-face contact. Like I said, there's a healing element to socializing that you will never believe or understand until you actually do it. So that will be the third one, and then the fourth, you'll in turn be able to create a life for yourself and have some income coming in. But those are the 4 steps that you need. So I'm giving 5 fingers. These are the 4 steps you need. And like I said, this is from experience. This is exactly what I did. I did this for about 2 years. No one really knew except my close family. And I did a video about this, like I mentioned. My journey I took to get out of it entirely was with relationships and women. And essentially, I feel like it's now something that is driving me in terms of helping people with this mindset and this area. Because if you don't do this, I'll give you the alternatives. This is what happened to me in my experience. So you are just going to be given drugs. You're going to be given, antidepressive drugs, things that will essentially just turn you into a robot, because they try to inject, dopamine and serotonin and all these different chemicals into your brain essentially, but it offsets other things, and you're essentially just a zombie. I had an instance where I actually crashed as I was driving because of the drowsy effect, and I had to get off it. I knew this was the time to get off it. This was not doing anything for me. Like I said, I was a robot. I can feel there was no, it's hard to explain, but I just couldn't feel essentially normal. Like it's just like, it just feels like you're on this like almost just like stall, or I don't know. It's like a very weird feeling of just kind of just, there's no like fluctuation in your brain in terms of what you feel. It's kind of just like a very like, how do I explain it, like you're almost like in a, just kind of just like breezing by, like it's just like a very mundane like feeling throughout your whole life, and it's just like, I can't live like this. Like you'd rather fucking die than live on these drugs. And essentially these drugs are supposed to prevent you from you know committing suicide, or not wanting to live anymore. So essentially it's a worse feeling than actually just going through what you're going through. So I did that. I went to a clinic as well, because essentially family here didn't know what to do. They brought me over to a third world country, and put me in a clinic there to get me over that. And essentially that was a worse experience because, like I said, there's not the privilege of a first world country with all its advantages and utilities and everything it has here. So I had a worse experience there, and essentially that's what kind of got the fire in my ass to get out, because I knew if it was all dependent on me. Like, people were waiting for me to get myself better. No one's able to do it for you. This is the ultimate thing you have to realize if you're watching this as a man. No one is coming to save you. There's no way they can help you, because it's yourself attacking yourself. You have to understand this. It's not like, oh, me, someone help me. Like, the more I play the part of the victim, the more I'll get some help. Yeah, you'll get some help, you get some sympathy, but no one's gonna get you out of that. So do you want to live the rest of your life just in the state of like, oh, I'm the victim, like my life is so hard? You always be there. Like, no one's gonna like help rebuild you. You have to rebuild yourself. This is the whole point I'm trying to get to. So you have to understand that it's you versus you, and you're letting weaker you beat the person you could be. So this is the whole battle you have to get through, and I just gave you the 4 steps to do that. So to go over them again: it is your fault. You're being selfish, and these thoughts are thoughts that you're in control of if you really put in the effort. And this is the first step. So accountability. Number 2 is you have to think outside of yourself for the first time in a very long time. Look at the people around you, your surroundings, the pain you're causing other people, due to yourself letting your thoughts control you the way they are. So your family is suffering. They're probably crying behind closed doors because they don't know what to do, and they want to keep you around, but they don't know if you'll be around any longer, because they don't know if your thoughts will let you do the ultimate act, which is taking your own life. 3 is anger. So using emotion. The only emotion you've been feeling is apathy and not wanting to get up, and oh, what's the point, and having these thoughts. You have to use emotion to get out of it. So you see people in pain, suffering, that will help you to get to this, emotion of anger, of, pissed off at the weaker part of you that you're letting dominate the lower version of you. And then number 4 is no drugs, alcohol, or smoking. No vices whatsoever. You don't have the privilege to do that. It's a privilege that is given to people if they wanted to indulge in these things. You don't have that privilege. Like I said, you're in a very low place, and you don't have the privilege of poisoning your mind with these things. And you have to do this naturally, as sober. And then number 5 would be socializing. So there's 5 steps. Socializing to get out of it, and then eventually the 6th one will be you integrating back into society as a normal human being. But you have to use socializing and face-to-face interaction. This is your way. This is your healing aspect and avenue. Sorry, this is your healing avenue. Face-to-face interaction. You need with people that are normal and are not going through what you're going through, and have the energy. You just need energy from other people. In this case, it sounds a little weird and almost selfish, but I mean, this is something you need in the short term, and eventually you'll have, through your habits, the ability to get out of your own. And sorry, I mentioned the habits as well. So you have cold showers, gym, socializing, and then anything with business and work. So the fourth step was suffering, or 5th, anyways. And then suffering, you have to get to suffer to get over where you are, and that will in turn be those 4 things. So if this video did help, please like and subscribe. Like I mentioned, I was exactly where you are, the person watching this. If you have glowing thoughts or feel like you're getting into that apathy state of mind, I've been there. I've had the experience of getting myself out of there, and I did this through the avenue of relationships and speaking with people, because I knew socializing was my avenue to heal myself and get myself to a place where I can be dependent again on myself. So if you need help with this, I'm on Instagram. My name is at Mr. Daniel Arce. I'm happy to help you with getting your mindset right with certain habits. Like I said, the first one will be suffering. So being able to constantly be suffering as a man in order to not let weak parts of you overcome you with your thinking. Like I said, it's just your thinking. It's nothing else. It's nothing physical. It's essentially just your mind working against you. So you have to get the weaker version of yourself below the stronger version. That's essentially the battle you're always going to have as a man is, the stronger version and the weaker version of you, or they call it the bitch voice. So right now the bitch voice is above you, and you need your stronger version of you and normal true essence of you to be higher. So that's your goal. Do these steps, and I promise you will get out of it. As hard as it is, the other option is you just calling it quits. But I mean, someone else suffers if you as you doing that, as a result of you doing that. So it's either your family suffers eternally of having lost you and putting on all this time to bring you into this world, or it's you suffer and kill the person you are now in reality. um, and you can do this with your time. You can be able to essentially, you don't want things to continue, you can kill that person, and kill yourself in a way through suffering, and no one gets hurt, and you actually begin to build that person you were meant to be. Because like I said, it's just a weak version of you that is overcoming the true version of you. So I know this is controversial. It can go against a lot of what things of people think of, like, oh, depression is a real thing. Like I said, I've been labeled clinically depressed. I've had studies done on me, all this stuff, and I don't believe in it because it is selfish. It is a selfish thing to, think of your own problems and thoughts to the point where you let yourself get to that point. And I mean, the only way out is through your own thoughts. So the way in the situation is also the way out, and also through massive action and adopting suffering as a man as your avenue to get out. So I hope this does help. Like and subscribe for more videos. And I do feel like this is something that I enjoy in terms of giving you the mindset to do things like this, and get out of certain situations. And if you do like it, like I said, you can contact me at Mr. Daniel Arts on Instagram, and I'll be happy to help you. But other than that, enjoy the rest of your day, and keep killing it.